So welcome back to Astro Mary Learn Astrology with Mary. My name is Mary English and I'm an astrologer working in private practice in the UK, and I've been in practice for more than 15 years. It's coming up for something like 20 probably. And today we are talking about progressions. Now the progression, so last week was a very short episode, and I apologise profusely, but I ran out of storage space on my podcast, which is renewed every month, so it's renewed. So we're going to have a full session today, and I instructed you to go to astro.com, to go to extended chart selection, to get your horoscope up, to choose chart type, and in the chart type box we're going to use prognostic methods, and we're going to have natal chart and transits. Now the transits, natal chart and progressed, natal and progressed chart, beg your pardon. So natal and progressed chart, and the house system is equal, and ping, we look at the chart. And I have a volunteer this week, so thank you very much to Michael for submitting your birth data to me, and quite correctly you have identified your chart shape as being a bucket because you've got a whopping very big cluster of planets all on one side of the circle, and your Jupiter in opposition, and a nice friendly Leo ascendant. I think that's right, we've got you born at 7:04 p.m. That's right, your sun sign is Capricorn. Your sun is also in the 5th house, so having a Leo ascendant and sun in the 5th would indicate somebody that really doesn't mind other people knowing about you. So one would assume that you're more of an extrovert than an introvert. However, just discussing your chart at the moment, you do have Moon in Scorpio and you've got Moon conjunct Pluto. So you need to go back and listen to the Pluto episode. And also when I'm talking about aspects, the aspects episode, and I'll give you a bit more of, and you also need to read Donna Cunningham's Healing Pluto Problems, because it's pretty difficult to be born with Moon and Pluto conjunct and not to have any emotional issues whatsoever. But anyway, so do that. Anyway, we're using your chart, Michael, for progressions. Gosh, you know, you've got a yod in your chart too. I think I need to discuss in another episode about yods. I'm sure no, I haven't done yods yet, so I think we'll have to have maybe next week we'll talk about yods, because that's also in your chart. So this episode we're talking about progressions. Now they're called secondary progressions. Lord knows what a firstly is, but a secondary one, because it means that your chart's been moved forwards for one day for every year of your life. And this chart that we've now constructed, because you were born in 1989, let's do the maths, that's making you how old? Because you haven't had your birthday yet, but you're coming up for, so 2017 minus 19, you can tell I can't do maths, can't you? 1989, this year you'll be 28. Ooh, so you'll be coming up for a Saturn return, I would have thought. Yeah, next year, because you've got Saturn in Capricorn, same as me, bless. So a progression is the chart has been moved forward one day for every year of your life. So your chart we're looking at has been moved forward by 28 days, because you are going to be 28 in your next birthday, which is just coming up at Christmas. And what's your sun? Yeah, sun sign's 1 degree Capricorn, so you are a Capricorn. So stop looking at normal horoscopes that say you're a Capricorn. Say that you're a Sagittarius. You're not. You're definitely Capricorn. And in the progressions, because everything moves, we've discussed this before, that the sun takes a whole month to change sign, the moon takes 2 days to change sign. All we'll be looking at in a progressed chart is the things that move faster. So this will be the sun, the moon, Mercury, possibly Venus and Mars, and also the ascendant, because that'll be skipping along depending on what date you're doing the progressions for. So what does it all mean? Well, it's quite a nice thing to look at when you get a lot older, because in my case, my sun sign's now, I think it's progressed into the sign of Taurus. Is that right? I I'm sure it was, because I was born when the sun was in Pisces, so it shifted quite a few signs. Obviously, the older you are, the further everything shifts. And in your case, Michael, the sun was in Capricorn when you were born, and now in your progressed chart, it's just about to go into Aquarius, so we're not quite there yet. You're 29 degrees and 54 minutes. Let me shift this forwards a bit and see when it's actually going to be in Aquarius, because that's going to be significant for you. So I need to change the date. So let's do this same date and make it 2018, because we can play around with things here and move stuff. So 4th of June, this is the date I'm doing the chart, 2018, let's check. Yes, by this time next year, the sun will have progressed into the sign of Aquarius. So next year is going to be, and also you'll be having a Saturn return, next year is going to be far more significant for you than this year, 2017. Okay, let me go back to today, because we're talking about today's progressions. I'm going to have to keep clicking and moving stuff here. So 2017. Just waiting for it to load. So when you, and I'm talking about like anybody now, what have I done there? 2017. Oh my God, it's come up with the year 201. I missed the 7 of it. We won the year 2017. Mary, get yourself together. Lovely. Right. So when you were born, the sun was in Capricorn, the moon was in Scorpio, Mercury was in Capricorn, Venus was in Aquarius, and Mars was in Sagittarius. And in your progressed chart, interesting. Have I got that right? What have I done wrong again? Yes, that's right, okay. Interestingly, progression. 28 days. Oh yes, what am I saying? 28 days. So you're 28 years old, and in 28 days, right now, the moon has returned back exactly when you were born, because the moon takes 28 days to change. Oh, isn't that interesting? So the day that we are doing Michael's chart, because he's 28 years old, the moon has returned to the sign that into the sign that it was in when he was born. So when you get to 28, you'll have a moon return. Bless. The sun has progressed, so I'll say the sun next year in your chart will be in the sign of Aquarius, but at this precise moment in time, it's when you were born it was 1 degree, it's now 29 degrees, so the sun has shifted, and it shifted from the 5th house, that's when you were born, now into the 6th house. So these are the things that we can look at to find interesting stuff going on with someone. So look to see where the sun, what house it's now in. So it was in the 5th, which is about creativity, romance, gambling, doing sort of romantic type of things, creative sort of stuff. Now it's in Michael's case, the sun has shifted into the 6th house, and the 6th house is about work and health. So it might be that you need to be looking at your health. And also interestingly, when you were born, you have Venus in the sign of Aquarius, and it's now retrograded in your progressed chart into the sign of Capricorn, so it's gone backwards. So the sun is now in your 6th house, and Venus is there as well. So if I were you, I'd definitely be checking your health. If you're not being healthy, then get healthy, yeah, because it's quite important for that to happen. Now Saturn won't have shifted, Neptune hasn't shifted, Mercury, interestingly, has also gone retrograde. How funny. When you were born, Mercury was 21 degrees Capricorn, and now in this progressed chart, which we've moved forwards by 28 days, Mercury's not gone retrograde, but it must have gone retrograde because it's now 9 degrees. So you must have been born just before a Mercury retrograde. Anyway, speak English, Mary. Mercury has now shifted into your 5th house when natally it was in your 6th. So this is about needing to speak out, because the Mercury is about speaking, but speak out about your creativity. It's now conjuncting your Uranus and your Sun, because you were born Sun conjunct Uranus, so you do like to do weird wacky things, but it might be that you need to be speaking about it, because Mercury is about communication. So the ascendant's shifted, it's still in Leo, that hasn't moved. MC is now in Taurus. Okay, so the MC is about your work and your career, and with it shifting into the Sun, Taurus. In Michael's case, he will need to be slow, steady, dependable and reliable in his work. So now talking generally, do your progress chart. The progressions will be on the outside of the wheel. So the inside of the wheel is all your natal stuff. On the outside of the wheel, in green, the planets are located, and will give you an indication of what's happening. So as I say, it's only the slow moving planets, so everything from the Sun to Mars probably, that will look as if they've shifted. It might be that when you were born something was going retrograde, and when you progress your chart, it isn't going retrograde anyway. It definitely depends how old you are, because the older that you get, the more things will have progressed, the more things will have moved, because each day is representing 1 year of your life. Yeah? And look to see the houses that they've progressed into. So if you were born when, I don't know, like in my case, Sun's in the 7th house, and with your progressions now it's shifted that the Sun has moved into, well, if it's moved into in my case it would be the 10th house, then you're going to be a lot older, and the 10th house is, for instance, is about career. Yeah? So what help is a progressed chart to you? Now don't drive yourself crazy, because in astrology you definitely could drive yourself crazy. You can look at the most intimate, detailed things possible, and you can get into so much of it that you forget about real life. Now don't do that. Please forget about your real life, but just for an interesting, for the interest of it, use progressions. I wouldn't use them as a form of prediction, except in Michael's case when something's going to be better, when something's moved further. So in his case, when the Sun has moved into the sign of Aquarius next year, then more is going to be happening than when it was when he was born. The moon hasn't changed sign, so today while I'm recording this is significant for him, so I do hope you enjoy listening to it. But for other people, what's important is to find the signs that things are in, because I've explained now what different signs are, the houses that they're in as well. Just use it as an interesting experiment, So where has everything shifted to now? How different is it to when you were born? Is there anything that's moved considerably or changed sign? Maybe something's gone from an earth sign to an air sign, or something's gone from an air sign to a water sign. All of these things are going to be quite interesting. Astrodienst won't give you analysis of progressed charts, so you can't click and go blah 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 here means this or that. What you could do is, once you've done your progressed chart, you could find the date that it's progressed to. So in Michael's case, the progression is for the date of 20th of January 1990. I mean, you could sort of skip to astro.com, go make another natal chart, for instance, in Michael's case, for the 20th of January 1990, because he was born in 1989, we progressed it by 28 days. He was born at the end of the year. And, look at the analysis on astro.com for the child that would be born for your progressed chart. That might be an interesting experiment. It's like, I was born when it was this, and now in my progressed chart for today, because we're doing this progression for today, this is, how maybe I might be viewing life. Yeah. So, it's quite a fun thing to do. But as I say, we have to be careful with astrology that we don't do so many fun things that we forget that we have to eat, and we forget that there is life out there other than astrology. Sad but true. yeah, so have a look at your progressions, move your chart forward, see how things have changed, see the signs that they're in. Is it radically different from when you were born? Has lots of things shifted? Does it feel better or worse when this stuff has moved into these different places? Have a little go at it and see how you get on. Do keep me posted. Send me email, mary@maryenglish.co.uk. Let me know how you're doing with it. I hope you've been enjoying these lessons. If you've only just subscribed, please go back to the early episodes, because I'm not going to keep explaining when I get to these further numbers now what I did in the first few lessons. So you do need to be able to understand what I'm waffling on about now. You will need to work your way through the lessons, yeah. So please go through each episode so you've got a vague idea of what it is I'm waffling on about when you get to these higher numbers. So that's a teeny bit about secondary progressions. Next week, I think I will devote next week talking about the chart shape yod. I've got one, and interestingly, Michael has one as well, and I think it's worth to be talking about them. So do check in next week when we're going to be talking about yods. I don't think I mentioned them in much detail when I did chart. It's not chart shapes, it's aspect shapes, which was a few episodes back. But I think yods is really, and there's a fantastic book written by Handmaker Zontag. I can't remember her first name. I've got the book over there. No, her surname's Handmaker Zontag, and she wrote a fabulous book about yods. And I think Tracy Marks wrote one as well. But there's been a number of astrological authors who've written about them. They're very interesting and a bit unusual and unique. And if you're an indigo and you've got a bucket chart, you might definitely have a yod in there. So I'll be back next week. Have a fab week. Lots of love. Bye bye now.